Hello, I am the cartoonist M. Rashid. One of my stock characters is this like short little old white man wearing this stupid Elmer Fudd hat that usually when you see him, I'm having him just say, "Obey the white man's laws, Blackie," and that's he's sometimes he says other stuff, but that's generally his purpose is to like repeat that. And where I get him, he's not in this one, of course, but where I get that character from and him saying that is from those special like laws that they whites will pass for no other reason than to steal from black people. They'll like pass these like usually local laws in like places like Mississippi and in the deep South where like a few years ago I saw this documentary that they put on Showtime where they showed like these a particular grift using these small town like local laws where they're like um, they made it so that they can pressure these families. Like let's say that there's like 5, 6 people, siblings who own this like inheritance land. The law has it that they put this special law in place just so that they could target these kind of families. And if they know that there's any kind of uh, discord among them, they'll go after one of the siblings and pressure them to like want to sell. And under that law, that one sibling out of 6 alone can sell it out from under everybody and give up all of their inheritance to whoever's that and similar like laws they put in place just to grift these like little black communities, you know. And while people like Ben Shapiro and the intellectual dark web are saying there's no such thing as systemic racism because it's illegal to like discriminate against race, as we talked about, that's not how systemic uh, racism functions. It functions like a racketeering organized crime ring. That's how it's always functioned. It doesn't matter. Like you could see the grift when they were putting the Constitution together. In the final draft, it's conspicuously, sneakily devoid of certain words and terms and stuff. Like they don't say slavery and stuff in it. Like they leave that kind of stuff out. They're trying to like dirty and sneaky and slimy, while you're in your Captain Morgan pose, pretending like you're like, but what about the founding fathers and their freedom, and they're trying to, all the problematic issues with them. It's more than them just owning slaves. It's more than that. It's like you can see those sneak moves that in their how they flowed. You can't use the argument, well, they just didn't know, like we're in more enlightened times. All of those people were smarter than you are right now. The level of education they had wasn't like the watered down for-profit education that we have in our institutions now. Our education is a joke right now, even in the 1%. They strip theirs down so far that all they care about is making big money. That's all they focus on, and they have the highest hoarded, the best education. But when they do it, it's only like, how can we maintain our dominance? That's where they focus at. It's not a real education. Like now back in the day, they like everybody had to know master instruments and draw and master mathematics, and you had to fly a rocket to space and back, and like they were serious with education back then, and they could argue, and they were well at it. It's the reason that their names came down more than just, people artificially holding them up to worship, but they could hold their own in discourse, you know, and do it for real from different angles. And the ones that couldn't would just beat you to death with their cane. But anyway, the sneaky, like forked tongue, kind of always trying to find an angle to, like, how can I steal from you and with minimum risk, was there from the beginning. This was the beginning of the age of the secret societies of Western civilization. That's not insignificant. That was the beginning of when they started, like, cliques of the same type figures kept, their names were showing up in the same roles, for these different groups. And their master plan, of course, was the how can we how people talk about breaking generational curses, and how, there's, like, you might have a family of drunkards, or a family of, incestuous, anything. And breaking that generational curse involves a focused effort and a commitment of the current family not to do what we've done before in previous generations and have a new slate. Well, that's noble, that's a noble, like, way to, like, clean your family line. But in this case, in the purpose of all these secret societies, other than, the cliques jockeying for position of power, but I mean, as a whole, the point of it is the tendency for the baton of power to flip in cycles. Whoever's on the bottom will end up on the top. And that, over the ages of humanity, that's continuous, So the point of the modern secret societies in these last few hundred years is to put systems in place to prevent the baton of power from flipping again. Like, they want to maintain their dominance as long as possible, forever if they can. I talked about this in some of my notes while observing series, where you can see like, even planning for the after effects from the next global cataclysm. So those, I forgot what they're called, the Gladstones or whatever they are in Georgia, where these millionaire billionaires or whoever, like, came together and made a modern megalithic structure, and they have their godless new age, like, principles in the different languages on it. The entire point of that is planning for the future, planning so that if there's another global cataclysm, and there probably will be, humanity afterwards will be, in trying to rekindle civilization, they're hoping that paper and our internet files and all that stuff is gone, so the only thing people can use is what's written on those stones, and that'll be passing on the new virtues or whatever. So that's how they're planning. They're trying to make it so that if they saturate the earth with their mess, it'll give the impression that this particular, colluding groups of families that are in power now have always been in power. That they didn't just start in the last 500 years, that they've always been so. That's what they're trying to do. So that's the, using the concept of breaking the generational curse for evil. You don't want the baton of power to flip. You want to like hold on to, you know, the priests of Mammon. So this cartoon is showing like it's like a caricature of showing people plan out one of those local law sneak grifts, you know, specifically designed to steal from Black Americans, steal their business, steal like their place in the markets, steal their land, steal it, you know. That's the nature of my relationship with that one. Continuously plundering and exploiting me so he can be rich and I cannot. Trying to keep me out of there. Like the last thing he wants is to be economically equal to me because he doesn't want equality because it'll give me the opportunity to flip that baton of power over. And now I'm back on top again, the way we were in the previous age that he's like trying to model his stuff after over. So that's this one. Peace.